This is
Genatzetayer,
A Toast to Armenia with Jano Kabinjian. A comprehensive look at the Armenian culture, only on the Ignotainment Media Network.
Genatzetayer. How you guys doing out there in Spesek? Hey, folks, what a great show we had last week. And I did not mean to have a great show last week. It was just something that came from the heart. It was only 10 minutes. I apologize for that. But, you know, we had so many people that downloaded it. And actually, we got a lot of messages from it. And that wasn't coming from me. That was coming from all of us. The message I gave out to you folks that day on April 24th was, I got to say, from all Armenians out there worldwide. And today, though, we're going to switch topics a little bit. Not that we'll ever forget, but we got to switch topics. And what better than to get this guy on our show, Roger Kupelian. I tell you what, man, Chris, check this out. Roger's had 62 visual effect movies. 62, brother. And you know the first one was Space Jam. You remember Space Jam?
I absolutely remember
Space Jam. I mean, then I got scared out of my mind with that Halloween H2O. I mean, this goes on and on. He's got
those are some huge movies.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, the Return of the Kings, the Fellowship Ring. I mean, this guy's been in them.
It's like every movie I've ever seen.
Terminator, Salvation, Grudge Man. I tell you what, we are so honored to have you on, Roger. Nice to talk to you, my man.
Well, I'm honored to be on. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, you know what? When I got to talking to you on Facebook, I said, God, I would love to have Roger Kupelian on my show. I mean, the stuff that you've done, man, and you've come from. I gotta bring it up. You've come from Sierra Leone, West Africa. How the hell did you end up from Africa to L.A.?
Well, you gotta ask my parents that.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up in Sierra Leone. All three kids. My dad had a business there. He's also a writer. He also writes in Armenian, and he's written a lot of short stories about Sierra Leone.
Really?
Yeah, and he just wrote a book about kind of like a Inglourious Bastards version of the Armenian genocide. It's called Mission to Marash, because it's our family heritage is the old cities in in Cilicia, the old Western Armenia, ancient Armenia that got destroyed during the genocide.
Now, how long were you in Africa?
We were in Africa I was in Africa for 12 years, but he was there for 20 years. And he had a business there, him and his twin brother, and they were doing some amazing work, actually. It was more, automotive, and they were inventing things as well, working with the government, sanitation, so on, inventing tools. They're farmers, and so they had a good thing going for a while.
So he did the writing on the side, that wasn't his professional thing.
Yeah, I mean, he comes from that generation, which basically, because of us having to pick ourselves out of the ashes, everything had to be very practical. And
right.
People were told, you want a real profession, go do something, and you can do your hobby on the side. And obviously, in the United States, we have a much more of an opportunity to actually pursue the thing that you love and actually make a living doing it,
right?
Which is what's amazing about this country.
Right. Were you influenced when he was writing to draw? I mean, did you like drawing back then, or was this something you picked up down the line?
No, I mean, I grew up reading a lot of comic books, both the American and the British kind, and also the European kind, a lot of the French. Because in Sierra Leone, you got a lot of different influences.
Right.
You had a big American influence, European, and I had friends from all kinds of, cultures there. And so, I mean, I knew that, what my culture was, but I also had to define my culture kind of against all these other cultures and in concert with all these other cultures as well. I mean, it wasn't like people hated each other at all. It was just, you kind of had to find your own way. And, that's when I started getting really interested in, these subjects and my own culture and how to express that. And obviously I was drawing and I was doing all those little things as a kid. And I saw my dad writing, and so I started writing as well. And there you go.
Beautiful, beautiful. What kind? I just got to ask you this too, because I'm in the comic books as well. Which comic book, which comic figure, Marvel's or superhero or whatever, which one you were entrenched with?
Oh my God! I mean, that's pretty simple. There were two. Daredevil, definitely.
Daredevil.
He's one of my favorites. Daredevil is absolutely one of my favorites. I mean, he has a disability, and that doesn't stop him. You know. And then on the other side, you had Iron Man.
Damn it! You didn't hit one of my guys. You didn't hit the Batman.
Well, Batman, yeah, definitely. I mean, that actually happened later.
I got you.
Believe it or not, I got exposed to the DC guys a little bit later. The Batman, Superman Proud. That happened later.
So it was.
And I think that I really started liking Batman more once I started reading later on when I started reading the Frank Miller stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was more the gothic look, and I've even noticed your work on War Gods, the book that you sent me, the animation book. Does this have any? I gotta say, it almost looks like it's been you've got some water paint work to it too. Am I right about that?
Well, I mean, look, what I do is, for the industry, for the film industry, is, I'm an environment artist. I create digital environments, but I'm also a concept artist as well. So basically, I work with directors or even on my projects, and I develop things visually. And so you have to give things a certain look. It makes it look rough, so that people looking at it don't sit there thinking this is the finished product.
Right.
So using digital media, you can achieve a certain look nowadays.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Whereas before, it was a little bit different.
Yeah, it is a stunning look.
Folks, we have Roger's book, his animation book. I got it in my hand right now. Roger sent it to me, and it's called War Gods. It's unbelievable. He's actually working on the first edition as well. Now, can you get into that a little bit? Tell the people out there what to expect when they look at your book. This animation book, this guy, I'm telling you, 12 years he's been on this. 12 years, folks. At one time, quote unquote, I read part of it. It said a drink and draw evenings, and that's a lot of work for 12 years, just kicking back and doing this. It's beautiful stuff. So tell us a little bit about the books.
Well, I mean, basically, these books deal with a little bit of actual history, real events that happened.
How did you find the information for these books?
Well, I mean, I'm familiar with the stories. Armenians were, the first nation to adopt Christianity as their state religion.
Right.
And that happened in 301 AD, so we knew that story. And then also, 150 years later, they fought against an overwhelming Persian army who was there to, destroy their culture, basically.
Right.
So, it was kind of like our Alamo, that second one.
Exactly.
So that whole story arc, to me, is just fascinating, and I'm like, that's really cool, and people don't know about this, and it's just as exciting as Lord of the Rings or Braveheart or Gladiator. So that's kind of where that all comes from, and I'm just basically using techniques I've already used to work on all these other movies, and I'm saying, I want to do something that's very personal and meaningful, and I want to tell these stories and do it really visually.
I tell you what, I think every Armenian would get that, because when I was a little kid growing up, you always heard of Kachvartan, and Kachvartan was a famous general. Chris, if you've seen pictures of Arvartan, I mean, he had long curly hair, his beard. I mean, he looked like a man's man.
Sure.
And we always read about. I think it was like, now I'm going back to what I was taught, like he had like 400 or 500 men that stood like the Spartans. And the Persians, they rolled with the elephants. They brought it on. I mean, they brought the whole enchilada on the Armenian army of General Kachvartan. And I tell you what, man, they died, but again, like Roger said, they fought on to the very end, and it's beautiful. And you capture that, you capture that in this one right here, what's that called, The Warrior Saints. When I checked that out, it was beautiful, man.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that. It is a labor of love. I wanted to do something that, either people from Armenian backgrounds or non-Armenian backgrounds could just look at and, really feel themselves in.
Well,
and funny enough, I mean, the project, the first people to really start working on this project with me, oddly enough, were not Armenians. They were New Zealanders.
Wow.
Because I was working in New Zealand on Lord of the Rings, and I met with a few guys. Peter Lyon was a sword maker for Lord of the Rings, and Callum Forbes and Phil Clark. These guys were involved with Order of a Boar, which is like a reenactment writing team. And I'm like, guys, we want to do this, period. We want to do this war and costumes and all that. And they were into it. They're like, wow, this is such a great history. Let's just get into it.
That is so
and
cool.
So that's where I was born, actually, believe it or not.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That's where you were born?
No, that's where the project was born.
Okay. I was going to wait. Where
I was not born a Kiwi. I'll tell you right now.
Okay. And the story there, I gotta say though, the Warrior Saints. As a kid growing up, you thought it all ended there with Vartan and his men going down valiantly, but you go into it more. And there's more. There's a crucial thing to this that it's. I don't want to give anything away, but I'm just saying to you guys out there listening to the show that there's much more to it than that. Afterwards, see what happens by this book, this animation book, Warrior Saints. It's going to be coming out. It's going to be fabulous, and I never knew all that. So it's beautiful, man.
People can get that book right now if they want to get the special edition. What I'm doing is I'm doing 100 different covers, unique covers, because it's a centenary.
How cool is that, Chris?
That's really cool.
Go ahead,
so
partner.
100 unique different covers
Wow.
that I'm doing. I've done maybe about 50 of them, and it's so far, and people can order it on the same websites. And it's a little bit more. It's a little on the pricey side, but that's going to help me publish the mass printing of the book later on. And once I have the 100 covers, the fans are going to vote on their favorite one, and the winner of that, once the winner of that cover gets a full refund, and he gets a special prize, and all the people that donated to buy a special cover will get listed in the book as well. Special thanks.
Wow,
that's extremely
cool.
Are you going to?
It's really cool.
Are you going to number these books too?
No, I mean, because each one is like one of one.
One of one, yeah.
They're unique, completely unique. And you're going to have one thing that's just completely yours. Yeah. So
you know what? If you're a collector out there, why not get all 100, man? I mean,
one guy bought 2 of them.
Yeah.
He likes them so much.
Jesus.
If he's out there, Avo, thank you. He got 2 of them. He's a big fan.
Wow.
To me, it's about the art of visuals. The reinvention of the mythology that we have. Whether based on real events and so on. I just want people to look at us and say, this is our Superman. This is our Batman.
Definitely. And you know what? The whole pride thing that this show's all about. I mean, that's it continues with you, my friend. I mean, you bring this back up. If we have Armenians like you that keep bringing this back to the forefront, that only helps us out. I mean, that helps us as a race. That helps us as people to say, "Hey, wow, that was cool." That is. I don't want it to die with me. I want my kids to see this stuff too. That's what we're looking for. That's it.
We want to share. We want to share it with the world. I totally agree with you. We want to share it with our kids. We also want to share it with the world because. You watch something, Gladiator, it's not just Italian pride. It's, the whole world can go watch that movie and enjoy it. Braveheart, you don't just have to be Scottish, you can be anything.
You're right.
Even Brits, who they're fighting against, would enjoy the film.
No, you're totally,
that's what I want.
Yeah, you're totally 100% right. But I'm just saying on the educational side, I guarantee you 25, maybe 30 years ago, when I was a little kid, in our church or Armenian school, they would probably have the Warrior Saints and the War Gods as part of a book that we'd have to read in their little class just to keep the Armenian history alive, because this is great stuff.
Thank you. I really tried to make it the best thing I've ever done.
Going back to your movies. Yeah,
sure.
You got so many here. 62 movies. Well, can I say which one stands out with you? Which one do you... I mean, how do you... Here, I'm switching again. I'm throwing you another curveball. How do you do a movie like Oblivion, Lord of the Rings, and then you come to a movie like Moneyball or Grudge Match? There's probably not that much going on there, is there? Between the
there is, man. Let me tell you, visual effects, digital visual effects, which used to be special effects at one time, and then they split up because now things are being done digitally. If it's a special effects being done in front of the camera on set, like, fireballs and things, those are special effects. If you say visual effects, it's being done in post. But what's happening now is visual effects have become such a part of the filmmaking vernacular that it's seeped into everything. Everything. Even things that are not necessarily entertainment related are using visual effects. Like, I have a friend of mine, Zara, who's one of the top animators over at JPL. And they animate things, visual effects, to show to to congressmen or so on, or educate the public on like a Mars mission or something. And it looks phenomenal. He's actually worked with me on a bunch of other stuff. It's really cool. But I'm just saying, like, it's seeped into everything. So when you look at these different movies like Moneyball or Lord of the Rings, some have more visual effects than others, but it's part of the whole filmmaking toolkit now. So it's everywhere. So
it's just as challenging to do a Moneyball as a Lord of the Rings.
Well, I mean, in a small way. I mean, each task is challenging in and of itself. It's just that you have more of it in some of these other shows. And obviously in Moneyball, we're not, we don't have these animated creatures like you would in Lord of the Rings or Planet of the Apes, which are phenomenal, like these monkeys they did. These apes are just crazy. And they have different kinds of visual effects. It's almost like writing different novels. One's an action adventure, one's a mystery, one's a very literary work. You just kind of have these kinds of different visual effects too. And then when you have the Academy Awards and they're trying to vote on the best visual effect, it's really difficult because you're looking at it going, wait a minute. I mean, those other guys worked just as hard as you did, but their movie was a little more popular, or let's say it was a little bit different. Like, it's kind of comparing apples and oranges these days. I mean, even what I do as a digital matte painter, like, if a castle doesn't exist, I paint the castle so that then they put the hero in front of the castle, and there it is,
Wow.
Even that, I mean, how do you compare matte paintings and matte paintings? They're all so different. And that's why people are saying it's just becoming so much a part of daily life and our daily vocabulary. When I say green screen, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But like 25, 30 years ago, if I said green screen, people would be like, what do you mean green screen? What are you talking about?
I've made a couple commercials with that green screen, and I've had to point back and all that, and there's nothing there. And next thing you know, our production guys got the hot girls at a beach and stuff like that. So it's unbelievable.
You're pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, me too. I just point. I hope they put it in the right direction. Now, I've also read about your background here that you've actually went out to places and you've kind of like dissected it down, checked it out, and said, you know what? I think we could shoot something here. Anything like that?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that takes a lot of visual right there to just go out to places and say, you know what, this place we could work with, or this place we can't work with. That's kind of cool, too.
Well, I mean, yeah, that kind of plays into the whole discussion about the 2 documentary episodes now that have been funded and are in post-production based on War Gods and Warrior Saints. We actually went out to all these different locations, and because I'm coming from such a visual background, and I, insisted on this one that I be at the helm of it, even though, as a director, I'm not as experienced as maybe a visual effects guy, but I have done a lot of my own projects where I understand, and my crew understands, how to marry visual effects to filmmaking, especially guerrilla-type filmmaking. So we can go out on locations and we can look at these things and go, okay, I can visualize exactly how we're going to shoot this over here, and how we're going to save ourselves some money by doing this and this way.
A guerrilla.
And so then we go back to studio and we marry it together.
When you say guerrilla, you mean just catching something raw and using it for your production?
No, actually, for example, I mean, that's a good point, because that could also be, documentary guys just going out there and capturing stuff. What we're doing is kind of a hybrid, because guerrilla filmmaking, especially when you have a lower budget, is basically going out there and kind of improvising on the go. You kind of have an idea what's out there, and you do have preparation going in, costumes and, stunt people and all that. But you have to react to the environment. If it's foggy that day, if it's raining that day, if the horses aren't behaving, and all these are factors,
Mm-hmm.
If they brought like a few less guys than you wanted, how do you make it, whatever. So that's been a lot of what's happened with the documentary project that's now based on East of Byzantium. We had to go out there and just kind of make do and see what we had and improvise. And because I'm a visual effects guy as well, I'm able to look at these scenes and say, okay, I know where I'm going to put the castle. I know where the guys have to run from. I know what they have to do, and how am I going to duplicate all these guys and make them look like more guys. So,
right.
What I did was I stacked the deck. When my crew went out there, I made sure my crew, the guys I've been working with for the last 20 years, Eli Jarrett's being one of them, that's not only a cinematographer, but he's also a visual effects guy. So he understands, like right away, there's shorthand. My other cinematographer, Martin Yernadjian, he's the same way. It's like this motley crew of people that have come together to, that understand the whole visualization and visual effects process and also the guerrilla filmmaking process. You've only got so much time, you've only got so much of a budget, and you've got to shoot this stuff and get it in the can right away. And if you don't understand how these things are going to translate to visual effects later on, your goose is cooked. You're going to spend so much money trying to fix your mistakes.
Well, yeah.
So we didn't have that option.
You're definitely right about that. Is there any projects coming for you that you feel that you could take this possibly? I've been there. I think it'd be wonderful, the mountainous areas and so forth. Armenia itself.
Oh yeah, man, totally. We shot 2 sessions. First, the co-director, William Martins, who went to Armenia. I couldn't go, so for whatever reason, he was there with a previous crew early on last year, and then I did a subsequent trip to Armenia, and we shot in some amazing places.
Isn't that beautiful? You're right, man.
And they're all still there. Like the temple's still there.
Yeah.
All these locations are still there. And we're like, we're right here.
Yeah, I know.
And people's attitudes were great. And you could shoot so much on so little, and we had crews there that actually understood how to do it too. And they have some of the latest equipment as well. So.
Because when
we
you
shot
were
a lot of cavalry there and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that, because if you're there and you see those, like a couple minutes ago, you were saying about what you're seeing, taking a couple guys here and making a kind of like an army behind it, and definitely you see that in Armenia with the mountains. You could see like a rush of cavalry and archers and everything. It would look beautiful.
Yeah, we had so much luck with that. There's some places. There's one place called Abaka, which is a place that some expats have started up, a retreat up in the mountains of Ijevan. It's just amazing. This remote part of Armenia where people go to relax,
Right.
And you have to get up there with like a Land Rover. I mean, it's brutal. But once you're up there, they had like all these horses and they had these riders, and it was just, fog came in. It was just tremendous. Like these big fields and mountains. I was really impressed.
How long were you there?
That second trip was about 8 days. I think the crew previous to me had gone for a couple of weeks. But you can get a lot of damage done in that time. I mean, if you have your ducks in a row and you work with a local team, you can get so much done there. I'm just so amazed at what could be done.
And the locals...
And obviously that all... Sorry.
I was saying the locals knew how to take it. I mean, they were understanding. They were rolling with it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, Armenians watch movies too, and they get it, and they know about East of Byzantium as a project. It's something actually in Armenia that's really well known. In fact, there's so much pressure on me to get this project out.
Really? Yeah.
No idea.
I believe that.
Yeah, everywhere I go over there, oh yeah, you're Roger Kupelian. Yeah, what's happening to that project? And I heard this.
What's going on with the project? It's moving.
Yeah. It's moving, guys. It's moving. And they're like, you said that last year. Yeah, well, these things take time.
Yeah,
it's not like...
Yeah, I know that. I know that from my in-law visiting for me to cut down this tree. It's still there, and he's still giving me a hard time every time he comes from Armenia.
These things take time.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, give a plug out to Roger's site right now, and
yeah, if you you're interested in in seeing more, getting more information, getting the book, it's eastofbyzantium.com. Eastofbyzantium.com. You can also find him on Facebook and hit him up there. Have any questions?
You know what?
Eastofbyzantium.com.
We'll definitely put this on our site too, and I'm going to have a picture with me with this book, this War Gods book.
It'll be on the website. It'll be on the Facebook page. Also in the show description on the website, the show description on iTunes, Stitcher, we will have a website link. We'll have a Facebook link. We'll have a phone number. All the information that you need to get the book or to contact Roger. Anything you want.
Yeah, anything you want to throw out there, Roger, that they could contact you besides the ones that we just plugged out?
No, that's cool. The Facebook page is a really good one, and we even have a Facebook page for that we linked up for the actual production itself, called East of Byzantium War Gods and Warrior Saints.
Oh, very.
You can find that on Facebook too.
Again,
a lot of this comes up in Google. If you do a word search of Roger Kupelian, East of Byzantium, you'll see a lot of stuff.
Again, folks. Yeah, go ahead, Roger.
We've gotten I just did an estimate the other day. A lot of the material I've done, I think I've gotten close to about 8 million views now on
8
on
million
YouTube.
views.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just because it's all different bits and pieces that people have taken and then reposted.
Well, that's beautiful, man. I'm telling you folks out there, I'm telling you guys out there, this book right here, if you love just the artwork, I mean, this alone is well worth buying just to look at these pictures.
Wow.
I mean, you're looking at a goofball like me that hates to read, but I was into each page. I was enjoying each one of these pages, and it's something, again, not only history, but Armenian history. And for my friends out there that aren't Armenian, well, you know what? If you like the Spartan type of wars and so forth, this is right up your alley. The Romans and so forth. I mean, you've got some illustrations here that look like you wish you were there if you were part of that. I mean, I'm a big Kachavartan man myself, and this was my guy. So this is beautiful.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
All right, Roger. That's it for our show. I appreciate you hopping on, man. I'd love to have you on again, and we'll discuss how we're doing with this book and maybe your next projects.
Thank you very much, man. It was an honor being on it. Keep up the great work, guys, and I'd love to be on again.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
for
Roger.
Everybody out there.
That's right, Roger Kupelian. Thanks a lot, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow. Hey, Chris, what an interview, huh?
Man, I mean,
that was
unbelievable
great
stuff. The stuff that he has had his hands on and has been involved with. I mean, you know, if you think about it, look at the Lord of the Rings and some of this other stuff. It has had such an impact on us and our society, everybody.
Yeah, the whole world, yeah.
Huge projects.
And we've got an Armenian on board.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and I love it, and I can't wait for people to check this War Gods out and his other book here, Warrior Saints. And can you believe he's got 100 different copies of that?
No, and that they're all going to be, you know, specialized and individual. Like, can you imagine? If I were ordering it, and I very well may be, one of the special edition ones, of one of kind artwork on your book. Oh my God,
he's got to sign ours.
Absolutely,
he's got to take care of us.
Absolutely.
All right, my friends. Hell of a show again. Great to have you guys, and great to see another Armenian out there doing something. And this is the type of show we're going to have for you guys out there. We got guests lined up, and it's a great way to get back your culture, my friends, on this show, Armenia Proud. How do they reach us, Chris?
So you can find us on our website, armeniaproud.com. We are on iTunes. We are on Stitcher for Android. You can find us all over social media. And, send us an email at info@armeniaproud.com.
And, Chris, can you believe, man, we are almost at 1,000 people on Facebook.
On our Facebook
We just
page.
opened that up, a couple weeks ago?
Not even 3 weeks.
Not even 3 weeks. We're almost at 1,000, and I couldn't thank you guys enough on Facebook. And that's called, what is that called?
Yeah, facebook.com/ArmeniaProud.
Okay, so, beautiful.
And also, all of this information will be in the description of the show. So if you want to find our Facebook page, if you want to find the website, also, any of Roger's his contact information that we discussed, it'll all be in the show description. So
that's beautiful, Chris. And my friends, we will see you next week. Kisher party and be good.
Tune in next week for another episode of
Genatzet Hayer.
A Toast to Armenia with Jano Kabenjian. You can find the show online at www.armeniaproud.com or download and subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher for Android. This is the Ignotainment Media Network.